Miss Weaverdink, you are so funny. You make me laugh every time you come on the screen for distance learning, and especially during advisory. I love all the games that you play with us and all the fun things that we do together as an advisory.
Hey, Mr. V, I just want to thank you so much for being my advisor the last 3 years, and you've really helped me grow as a person and in my schoolwork and in my faith with God, and I really appreciate that. And I just want to thank you a lot for that, and I'm excited for one more year with you.
Okay, so there's one time in class in like sophomore year where Ben made a joke about going to the gulag, and Mr. Teen just straight face said, "Ben, that's not funny." And then he looked over at me and winked, and he just kept looking over at me and winking as Ben was trying to defend himself because he thought Teen was like genuinely cheesed, but in reality, Mr. Teen was just dunking on him in a way that I've never seen before, and it was one of the funniest moments I've ever had in a class. Mr. Teen, thank you for picking me to wink at. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate you.
Mrs. Birdziak, your cheerfulness and helpful spirit in the office never fail to brighten my day, and I really appreciate your punctualness and efficiency with anything we can throw at you, so thank you.
A funny memory that I have of Mr. V was when we were in biology and we were studying genetics, and we were talking about how different traits are passed on to your children. And I think he was like, if the dad has brown hair and the mom has brown hair, and the kid doesn't have brown hair, you might need to figure that out and maybe check what hair the mailman has. And that made everyone laugh, and that was a really good time.
Thank you, Mrs. Fingies, for all that you do for the school and for me. I just love coming into your classroom. You're always smiling and always very willing to help and very cheerful. And I really appreciate that. Thank you for all that you do.
Hi, Mr. Clemens. One thing that makes me smile is when you start talking about our random math class conversations. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Hey, Miss Veenstra, I enjoy all the fun we have together during advisory time and during our game days. I have a lot of fun memories of those days, but my favorite memories are the one-on-one conversations we have together. Thanks for being the best advisor ever.
Hey, Mrs. Pritziak, you make me smile and you're awesome because you're my sidekick.
And my sidekick.
And everybody's sidekick.
One of my favorite memories from math class this year is Mr. Clemens showing us all of the different accents he can do.
Dr. Skudninga, thank you so much for all that you do for the school and for me, and I just thank you for all the work that you put into it. You just make me smile whenever you give me a hug, and I really appreciate that.
Mrs. Veenstra, I've really appreciated you being my advisor for 3 years. I like your thoughtfulness when you prepare devotions for us and just how you care for each and every one of the students, so thank you.
So this isn't so much a funny story, but one time I checked my email and I had an email from Mrs. Birdziak, and it basically just said that she was praying for me and she was just wondering how I was doing, and that just meant a lot to me. So I'm really thankful that we have Mrs. Birdziak as our secretary.
Mrs. Worth, you are such a fun choir teacher, and I love having class with you. I know you wanted me to do choir last year, and I didn't, but you got me to do it after begging me for like 10 times, and I am really glad that I did it because you are a wonderful teacher. You're so funny, you tell great stories, and I have really improved my singing voice because of choir, and I just want to thank you for all your determination in trying to get me to join choir, and also for your help with chapel committee and praise team. You've really helped us grow as a team and helped me learn how to be a leader.
One of my favorite memories from advisory this year is when Miss Weiberdink would tell us all of her funny stories and memories.
Mrs. Veenstra, you are so funny. You make me laugh every time during Spanish class. I am so grateful to have a great teacher like you and someone that I can ask for help. Mr. Clemens, you make me laugh so hard during our classes. Thank you for putting up with all of the craziness that we are in our class. I thank you so much for all that you work for the school and for me, and just thank you for all that you do.
We all love it when Mr. Clemens teaches us about math. but we all love it a whole lot more when he teaches us about accents.
Mr. V, Outdoor Ed, would easily win the prize for being my favorite course this year, so thanks for making that really fun. But honestly, any of your classes are really enjoyable because you always find a way to make the subject matter interesting and fun to learn about. So thank you for putting so much effort into your teaching and being really fun to learn from.
One thing I love about Mrs. Birdziak is when we walk in the morning, we're greeted by a lot of welcoming words and smiles. So she makes it just a really fun atmosphere to be in.
Mrs. Worth, you were just such a joy, and I love having class with you and during band and during choir, and I just thank you so much for all that you do for the school and for me, and just I thank you for all that you have, the work that you've put into it. Mrs. Birdziak, thank you so much for all that you do. You are so helpful. I love seeing your smiling face when I come into the office, which is actually quite frequently. I thank you so much for all that you do for the school and for me, and I thank you so much.
Mr. Clemens, some of my favorite times in your class is when we get off on a tangent and end up talking about something totally unrelated to math, and that can be really fun, but that's not at all to diminish the quality of your math class either, because you're great at teaching calculus and I've learned a lot, so thank you.
One thing I appreciate about Mr. Schumann is how he teaches us biblical concepts in such a clear and understandable way, and he really also makes us see how we can why those things matter and how we can live them out in our everyday lives.
Thank you, Mrs. Veenstra, for everything that you do for Avail. I thank you for not just being my teacher, but also my advisor and a friend, and being someone that I know I can come to talk to about anything.
Thank you, Mr. Vandeglin, for all that you do. You are so helpful and you're so intelligent that sometimes I just don't get it. Thank you for all that you do for our class and for me, and just I thank you for all the work that you put into it. Mr. Teen, you make me laugh. Your fun stories and fun activities in class is always a cheer up in my day. I thank you for all that you've done for us and especially for me. Thank you.
I will never not think back and laugh at the time that we were playing the party game in advisory. Braden was the host, but Miss Veenstra was one of the actresses, and her quirk was that she was actually Braden. And as he tried to figure it out, Miss Veenstra decided to give him a big clue. She sat down in a chair, tilted back so it was only resting on 2 legs, pointed at him and said, "Ha! You're a girl!" And the entire class just lost it, utterly lost it, and he guessed right away.